Darius Johnson's truck rumbled into the loading dock at Finixtech HQ on a hot summer morning. He'd been delivering parts and packages to this massive tech company for almost 3 years now. Nobody really noticed him. Nobody cared to. He wore his usual faded cap and gloves, and quietly stacked boxes inside the warehouse. But today was different. The air in the building buzzed with tension. People in suits rushed around, shouting at each other. Phones rang constantly. There were engineers huddled around a massive prototype machine in the middle of the floor. Darius couldn't help but glance at the machine. It was enormous, some kind of robotic assembly arm, covered in wires and flashing red air lights. One of the engineers barked, "Shut it down. We shut it all down before it catches fire." Darius quietly asked a nearby worker, "What's going on?" The man scoffed. That's a $50 million disaster. Been trying to fix it for 3 weeks. 20 engineers and not a single solution. Darius nodded but couldn't stop looking at the machine. Something about it intrigued him. He finished unloading and started to walk away. But then he heard a loud crash. A panel had fallen off the machine. Sparks flew everywhere. A senior manager yelled at the engineers, "This project is on the verge of being canceled. If we don't fix it today, we're all done." Darius froze. He couldn't ignore it anymore. So he walked closer. One of the engineers sneered at him. "Hey buddy, you can't be here. Step back." But Darius just pointed at the machine. I see the problem," he said quietly. Everyone stopped. A few of the engineers laughed out loud. "Right, the delivery guy knows more than 20 trained engineers." "Sure." Darius didn't back down. He walked closer and knelt next to the control panel. "See here?" said, pointing. "This wire is crossed with the power relay. It's feeding feedback voltage into the diagnostic loop. That's why it keeps shutting down." The room fell silent. The lead engineer frowned and leaned in to look. "Wait a minute," he muttered. He opened his laptop and checked the schematics. Then his eyes widened. "He's right," the engineer whispered. The other engineers crowded around. One of them asked, "How did you even know that?" Darius shrugged. "Self-taught. I've seen that error before. Used to build control boards before I took this job." The senior manager stormed over. "What's going on? Is it fixed?" The lead engineer turned and said, "Sir, the delivery guy just diagnosed the problem in 30 seconds. We've been at it for weeks." The manager's jaw dropped. He stared at Darius. "You fix it now," he ordered. Darius didn't flinch. He grabbed a set of pliers from the workbench, carefully uncrossed the wires, reset the relay, and rebooted the system. Everyone held their breath as the machine hummed back to life. The flashing red lights turned green. The robotic arm smoothly began its work cycle. The engineers broke into applause. The senior manager clapped Darius on the back. "Just saved this project, son. And possibly this whole division," he said. Darius just smiled faintly. "Just doing what I can," he said softly. But that wasn't the end of it. 2 hours later, Darius was called into the CEO's office. He walked in, feeling nervous but calm. The CEO stood up and shook his hand. "You're Darius, the man who saved our project." Darius nodded. "Yes, sir. Why are you delivering packages instead of working for me?" The CEO smiled warmly. "Tell me, Darius." Darius hesitated. Couldn't afford college, had to work. But, like solving problems. The CEO's eyes twinkled. "Full salary, benefits, and we'll pay for you to finish your degree. Well then, consider this your first day as lead diagnostic specialist." Darius's eyes widened in shock. "Sir, I don't know what to say." "Say yes," the CEO said, grinning. Darius nodded, tears pricking at his eyes. "Yes, absolutely yes." When he walked out of that office, the same engineers who laughed at him earlier stood and applauded. They shook his hand, slapped his back, and one of them even said, "You're the smartest guy in the room. We're lucky you came along." That evening, as he drove home, Darius smiled quietly to himself. He thought about how everyone overlooked him all these years. But today he proved them all wrong. Sometimes brilliance doesn't wear a suit. Sometimes it wears a faded cap and delivers boxes. And sometimes, all it takes is the courage to speak up and say, "I can fix it." If this story inspired you, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more powerful stories every week.